The Technical Unit on Governance and Anti-Corruption Reforms, alongside the Code of Conduct Bureau, has launched an explanatory manual on the Code of Conduct for public officers. This is expected to bridge the gaps identified in both law and implementation of the Code of Conduct for public officers, which was prominently featured in the second review of Nigeria's implementation of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption in 2019. And correspondent Habida Lawal reports.
The implications of lack of effective enforcement of ethical codes and codes of conduct in combating corruption and unethical practices in public and private sector are never ending. Lack of effective and efficient enforcement of existing codes both in public and private sector have led to increased corruption. This meeting of the Monitoring and Evaluation Unit set up by the Nigerian government says implementation and enforcement of Code of Conduct in Nigeria can be improved with greater coordination among agencies responsible for monitoring corruption.
The largest and most comprehensive by far is the Code of Conduct for public officers because of its content and also because of the scope of application. It is applied throughout the public service in all the 3 tiers of government. So we paid a lot of attention to dissecting the content of that code.
They recommend that the whistleblowing policy of the federal government should be extended to state and local government and should be strengthened by the enactment of Witnesses and Whistleblower Protection Bill before the National Assembly.
Control about 48% of resources that are shared, the local government and state, and therefore we need to be able to drill down the issue of anti-corruption, especially within the states and local governments.
To note that the Bureau does not intend to get people unnecessarily punished for failing to adhere to the strict component of the codes. It is a great liability and a stigma for a public officer to be found culpable of breaching of the Code of Conduct, especially that the offenses are peculiar, in which there are no prerogative of masses.
The policy brief includes an overview of ethical codes that can contribute to the eradication of corruption while highlighting critical policies issues for action. The gap analysis conducted disclosed vulnerability in the content and implementation of the Code of Conduct for public officers. Habida Lawal, TVC News, Abuja.